So we're going to be doing these value scales. We have hatched lines, cross hatched lines, and stippling here, okay? Now, when you're using pen, you need to make sure that your marks are consistent and they are deliberate. What does that mean? If I say your lines have to be consistent. Chase, go.
They're like the same.
Okay. Right. So if you're doing something consistently, you're doing it the same way every time. So I want your lines to be consistent. And if I say deliberately, you're deliberately making these lines, what does that mean? You're being deliberate. You do something deliberately to somebody. Go ahead. You mean to do it, okay? So I want you to deliberately place your lines, meaning you're not just going through and the lines are happening. I want you to purposefully put your lines down, that you know exactly what line you're making, where you're making it before you make it, okay? So we're going to start with our hatched lines here, okay? I don't care which direction your lines go, okay? If it makes more sense for you to go and have lines going on top of each other, going this way, going this way, going this way, I do not care as long as you are consistent, okay? I personally like having my lines, no I don't, I like having my lines this way. Okay, you can see that as I'm drawing my lines, I pick my pen up. I'm not doing this. That is scribbling, correct? Okay, I am picking my pen up each stroke that I make. Okay, so this is obviously not the darkest it's going to go. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to add more lines to this, okay, to make it darker. It's best to start with fewer lines and go back and add to it than have it be too dark too soon and you can't fix it, because pen you cannot erase. And we are not using whiteout to fix this. Don't ask, I won't give it to you. Okay, so that's my first box. Not bad. I'm going to start my second box. Okay, again, starting my lines a little farther away from each other because I'm going to go back and add to this. Okay. So I'm saying, all right, if I go back in and I add to this, now these two boxes are going to look very similar. So how am I going to fix that? If my two boxes look very similar, how can I fix that? Go ahead. Go back to the first one, make it darker. Perfect. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to add more lines here to get rid of some of this white that I have. Okay, so now all of a sudden they look different. Yes? Okay, I'm going to go to my next box. And I think I might even just leave this one the way it is. Okay, so you can see dark, medium, lighter. This set of boxes right here, you guys are going to leave white. Okay, this is the white. The last box is empty. Okay, so that's the goal that you're going toward as you're trying to go to. Okay, now cross-hatching. Again, I don't care how you cross your lines, just as long as you are consistent. So I'm going to start my cross-hatched lines far away from each other, and then I'm going to go in. Okay, obviously too much white. I'm going to go and do another set of lines in between those. Okay, go the other way. Okay, next box. But you guys can see I'm trying to be careful with my lines, trying to stay inside the box. I'm trying to keep my lines parallel to each other. Okay, I'm trying to focus on having nice, even, straight lines. Okay, I don't want to have like scribbles or shakiness. So it's best if you guys try to find that way that you want, that your hand kind of like instinctually wants to draw, because it'll make your life easier when you're making these lines. Don't try to fight it. Try to find that way that your hand wants to make a nice line. Okay? Okay, and now with stippling, The one thing I don't like with stippling is that it gets very noisy in here, because if you have a whole room of people stippling, this is what it sounds like. If we have like 20 people doing that, I want to jump out the window, okay, because it's very annoying, okay? But you shouldn't be tapping that hard, and it shouldn't be hearing you make noise, okay? You shouldn't be winding up and like throwing the pen down from here, okay? You need to be close to the paper, and you should be deliberately making your dots, okay? You want your dots to actually look like dots. So I'm going to be placing my dots down. I'm going to have them a little further away from each other. And then I'm going to start going in. Can you hear me making any noise? No, because I'm softly placing my dots, and I see where I'm going to put it before I place it. Like I'm looking at the actual spots that I need to fill, and that's where I'm putting the dot. It should not be, it shouldn't be random. I mean, it should look random, yes, but I'm deliberately placing these dots where they go, okay? I'm going to go to my next one. I'm going to start with them further away from each other. And then I'm going to go back in and try to fill. You want to just have like kind of a sea of dots, or a nice even placement of these dots. Okay, so I'm probably going to go back here and make this a little darker. Okay, this could be a little darker. I personally like using stippling, although it is extremely tedious and it takes a really long time to do. I find that you have a lot more control over it than the other two. Up to you, okay? One thing I don't want to see is if you're making dots, make them dots. It shouldn't look like this. Are those dots? No. Is that a hot mess? Yes. Okay? If you're being careful with when you're placing your dots, you shouldn't have check marks or like nonsense like that. Okay? This is not okay. Okay? Dots is what I want. Okay? So, you guys are going to be doing this value scale. Hatch lines, cross hatch lines, stippled dots. Okay? Even all the way across, so you have these two value scales on the top here that you can use as inspiration to make sure that it looks right. Okay? Slow and steady. Stay inside the box, please. I'm still looking at craftsmanship, and craftsmanship is being careful and making sure that you're staying inside the lines. Okay? You guys have pens on your tables, and you can get going. Okay?